Hi everyone, it's Jessie. I am here with a book haul. I know I owe you guys a video about when I read the TBR that my dad chose for me, and it's coming. But I've had a little bit of a challenging winter. So today I'm going to show you the books that I irresponsibly acquired when I already have a TBR that is like taller than me. Let's begin. We don't need to dwell on my bad decisions. So the first book I want to show you is Words Are My Matter by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is a collection of nonfiction essays that she wrote, primarily about, writing about writing. I love writers writing about writing, and even if I didn't love Le Guin, even like Murakami, I'm not his biggest fan in the world, but I did love his memoirs about him becoming an author, and I mean, it's also about running, but whatever. Notwithstanding. This is also about the responsibility of a writer and what it means to have a social conscience, and it's pretty cool. I think Quinn is brilliant. Left Hand of Darkness is one of my favorite books. I'm still like trying to get through Earthsea, so I don't have the vocabulary for a lot of these things, but it's cool. She always makes me feel very empowered. Yeah, R.I.P. That was sad. I don't know why I said that part. Next book was a gift to me. It is called Secondhand Time by Svetlana Alexievich. Two books that I'm going to talk about today have some things in common, in that this is a collection of interviews between 1991 and like 2012, so about 30 years after the Soviet Union deunionized and became Russia and the other members of the Eastern Bloc. That was a bad way of explaining it. That's why I need these books, is to teach me. But obviously, very complicated time in Russian history, and their identity had for so long been built upon these things that were now no longer true, completely the opposite, in fact, as communism gave way to capitalism, and things just changed very drastically. So this was a gift to me because my friend Allison just absolutely loved it. And so she was like, you have to read it. And then I said, okay. And then when I didn't read it, she gave it to me for Christmas. So now it's been assigned to me. Similarly, my books are not in order of anything. The Future is History. This is by Masha Gessen, I don't know. It is also about that time period in Russia. I think it goes back further and starts, I should look at the back. Yeah, it starts much earlier than the early 90s, and it follows the lives of four people. What their hopes were at certain points, what they thought life would be like when the dawn of democracy started in Russia, and how that did not really pan out the way anything expected. I guess all history of any country is just very complicated, and I only have the most superficial understanding of like how the Russia that we studied in US history that really just goes to like the 80s got to be the Russia of 2020. So super excited about this. This is also an Allison recommendation. I think she and I just talk about Russia all the time. We definitely just talk about Russia all the time. Another book. This is called Mating in Captivity. It is by Esther, another last name I don't know how to say, Perel. She, and I find this hilarious, is one of the world's most respected voices on erotic intelligence. Okay, who are the other voices? I didn't know there were any voices, but I love it. This is a book about like being in a long-term relationship and how to continue cultivating an appreciation for one another, because obviously there's sparks in the beginning that aren't necessarily there later on, and what you can do to kind of sustain the curiosity and interest you have for one another. It's a relationship help book, and I guess it's going to teach me about erotic intelligence. And then maybe one day I can be one of the world's most respected voices on erotic intelligence. A hoot. I'm so bad at like picking up books and showing them. This is The Bird King. It's beautiful. I just think you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. but I did. It's by G. Willow Wilson. This is I think it's magical realism. I'm not quite sure how to categorize it in terms of genre. I'm going to read this last line. The Bird King asks us to consider the nature of love and freedom at a time when the West and the Muslim world were not yet separate. It's about a concubine and the man to whom she not belongs, but kind of. She's concubine to a sultan, and he can draw maps that actually impact reality. The way he draws a map becomes what is true, and when their land is invaded, this is considered very threatening, sorcery even, so they are very much at risk, and she has to think about like what she's willing to give up, what she's willing to risk for her love, if she should just focus on herself. It seems really interesting. I am very intrigued. Oh, it's Spain that shows up. I guess that makes sense. Oh, it is magical realism. It says Tor.com. Tor.com agrees with me that it's magical realism. It's beautiful. I picked it up on a whim because I'm an idiot. I want to read it like right now, but I can't. There's too many other books to read. You know what else I picked up because I'm an idiot? This is number 6. This is going to be the 6th one of these I've read. This is 1,200 pages. I've read 6,000 pages so far of this fool. I don't even know. What's wrong with me? I really liked the first one, and then the second one was fine, and the third one was very painful, and then things kind of fell apart completely for me. And now I just feel like I have to read the last one because it's the last one, and then I'll be free from this unlocked prison that I put myself in. Ugh, and then I'll go to Sweden. I almost said Norway, but he moved to Sweden, which I know about because he's written about it, like, and I'll fight Karl of Knausgarde. And I'll win because I know all his weaknesses because he's outlined them for me. This is a very lengthy series of memoirs if you're not familiar with this. It's been described as Proustian, which is why I originally picked it up because I love Proust, and I was like, oh cool. It is not Proustian, I think. I would not describe it that way. It's mostly like, I think Knausgarde grappling with whether or not he's a bad person, and so what he does is he outlines his life very much focusing on his flaws and his weaknesses, and he's very like into women, so that is a focus. Like seriously, one of the books is just about him trying to get it wet, and then asking you as a reader to like follow along. I think you are supposed to despise him. I think he is not writing this in a way that's very kind to himself, and so it's unexpected that you'll be like, oh, what a cool guy, but it's still really hard to sit with. And there's a part, and I think the second book, where someone says to him, his friend says, like, you could write 12 pages about taking a shit and it would be gold. And I think this whole series is his friend's fault. Because why do I have to read about him taking a shit? I shouldn't have to. Anyway, I'm gonna read this, and then I'll be done. And then we'll fight. Speaking of Proust. This is Proust Duchess. This is also beautiful. Caroline Weber. How 3 celebrated women captured the imagination of fin de siècle Paris. So this is about 3 women who captured the imagination. They were famous for their salon in Paris, where writers, great thinkers, mathematicians, etc. would show up and chat. And I've always been fascinated by salons, and I've always wanted to go, but I don't get invited to any. If you have a salon, please invite me. I cannot contribute anything useful. I will just listen. But Marcel Proust, one of my favorite writers, was fascinated by these 3 women before he even met them. He did eventually like become acquainted with all 3, and he combined them in his work, his 6-volume memoirs, in this character of the Duchess, who is, iconic. She's very complicated. She's unhappy in her marriage and unhappy in her life, and sometimes feels like completely impotent and sometimes feels like she just completely pulls the strings of everything that's going on. So it's a really fascinating character, and I'm really curious to know about like the real women who inspired it. I only know like the vaguest things about them, that they were like titled and, you know, unhappily married. That's about it. So this is gonna be so fun. I can't wait. Yes. No. Yes. This book hasn't exactly been recommended to me, but every time I have a conversation with somebody about the nature of the internet and Instagram and what commodifying ourselves and our hobbies has become, somebody invariably says, well, Gia Tolentino says in Trick Mirror, and then something that sounds absolutely fascinating, and I want to know more about it. And so I got this book. I got it at a reduced price because the Sun bleached it. I didn't ask for that, they just gave it to me. So, yeah, I think we're living in a very interesting time, what with the internet and the closing of the Gutenberg parenthesis. But what does it all mean? What am I supposed to think about how I think and what I think and why I think? What am I supposed to do with all my social media that's dominating my life? And it's not even shown in chronological order. It's not. We're all pressured to brain ourselves. We're all kind of imitating these influencers even if we don't want to be. It's weird and gross, but maybe okay. I don't know. I'm excited to read this. I really like Gia Tolentino's writing. Yep. This is a collection of short stories. Homesick. Simon talked about this in his channel, Savage Reads. It is short stories. I already said that. They're all about home and our relationship to home and having to leave home for various circumstances. They're very surreal. They're very queer. Unusually for the kind of queer lit, they talk about a lot about trans and non-binary people, and I love that. I feel like there's not a lot of non-binary representation in literature, so as soon as I heard this was a thing, I got super psyched, and I can't wait to read these. I love short stories in general. It's so nice to be able to like read something in one sitting and have the whole impact of it hit you at once, instead of like reading 100 pages and then like going about your day, and then, you know, you've all read. You know what that's like. Well, also for Christmas, I got from my mama, a year-long subscription to Book of the Month. And for February, I chose 3 books, because I'm a mess. Here's what they are. 2 of them are add-ons. Queenie by, oh my gosh, Knausgarde Williams. I almost said Knausgarde Williams, and I'm glad I didn't. This has been heralded as the Black Bridget Jones Diary. My friend Kai absolutely loved it, and I love her, and I trust everything Kai's ever recommended to me. I've absolutely adored. So I think this is going to be the kind of book that I will want to like absolutely try and read in one sitting. But everyone I know who's read this has loved it. Yes. Another book from Book of the Month is Severance by Ling Ma. This is kind of like a disaster escapist book where a disease hits New York City, or probably hits everywhere, but it takes place in New York City, and it happens very fast and everything shuts down, and our main character has to try and escape, and she winds up falling in with this group of ragtag whatevers, like kind of new civilization type thing, and their leader seems kind of like a creeper, and she has a secret that he can't know because otherwise he'll use it against her for his own gain. I don't know what the secret is. I need to know what the secret is. Theories. She's pregnant. She's immune to the disease. She has the disease. She has a secret subway map. Secret subways. Those are my only... We'll check in later if I get more theories. This last one was my actual February book, and it is controversial. I feel like I can't say anything about this other than what's already been said at length and often and by everyone. So we all know about the controversy I know about the controversy. Maybe it was gross of me. I almost was mad at Book of the Month when I saw that this was one of their choices for February. And I discussed it with my husband. And during the course of our, like, not argument, but chat about it, I came around to saying, like, okay, this is potentially a good thing. And so I wanted to read it. One of my friends read it also because she was drawn to it from the controversy and hated it. I think she DNF'd it, actually. And so I'm not feeling too psyched on it. I think I'm just really curious to know what the hype is all about and then what all the anti-hype is all about. So we'll see. Maybe I'll hate it on its own merits instead of the controversy. Maybe I will like it and then just have to have confusing feelings. I'm used to confusing feelings. My birthday is on Friday and I'm gonna go buy more books, and I have so many books I need to read. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to get to all these because I have so many things I'm supposed to read first. But I guess it's a good problem to have. Never enough time. That's what that one Twilight Zone episode is about. There's never enough time, and then there is enough time because the nuclear missile fell on your city and you were in the bank vault, but then your glasses break, so you can't. So there's enough time, but you don't have your glasses. And then your teacher says, write an essay about how this is ironic, and you're like, what? Is it ironic? Kind of. Anyway, I'll see you next video. Thanks for watching this one. Let me know if you've read any of these and you know what should I read first of all of these? Oh, probably Trick Mirror. But yeah, let me know in the comments and I will see you next video. Morris, do you want to be in this one? Do you want to say goodbye? Yes, you do.